Okay. Hello, everyone. I've got a lovely guest on my show, and her name is Tatiana. How do you say your surname?
Duarte is Duarte in Portuguese, but you can say Duarte.
Duarte. Duarte.
Yeah.
And you were saying it's a very common name in Brazil.
Yeah, I think it comes actually from Portugal. There's quite a lot of Duarte in Portugal, but
Duarte.
well, yeah,
Duarte. Ju-
colonization and everything.
Just, just out of English interest, us English people have a real problem with names, pronouncing people's names properly. I
Yeah.
bet you people just don't know how to pronounce your name when they see it written in English. What sort of examples do you get in English?
Of pronunciations of my name.
Yeah.
Well, I get quite a lot of Titania because I think there is a Shakespeare character that is called Titania or something like that everybody calls me Titania. Or they just get lost when I say the way I pronounce in Portuguese, which is Tatiana, but you guys don't have the chi, so you say
Oh,
just tawa. So it needs to be Tatiana for sort of.
Tatiana's
Yeah.
Tatiana's nice. I like that. It's a
Oh,
nice
thank you.
name. I would say Duarte, which is a sort of French way, but that's not right, is it?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it's a
Duarte.
different pronunciation, but it's right. Yeah.
I bet you the English say Duarte.
Yeah, usually is. Yeah.
Duarte.
Yeah.
They call you Duarte. Okay, so you've been in the UK quite a while. You're married to a lovely English guy called Johnny,
Yeah.
who you met when you were traveling around the world, which is really romantic under the stars of
Yeah.
which country was it?
It was Indonesia.
Indonesia, where you can see all the stars. And he is a man who looks at stars for a living.
He does. Yeah, he's an
He's
astronomer.
an
Yeah.
astronomer, and he
Yeah.
lectures at the Hertfordshire University.
Yeah, he does some. He just started some teaching with. It's like a practice sort of module. There is the module lead that teaches the sort of say the theory part, I think, and then he does the practice of whatever they learn in that class, which is very nice.
Yeah, so they've got some telescopes nearby, big telescopes. I don't know if people are familiar, on the way to Hatfield from Hertford, and they're quite big, aren't they?
Yeah.
Nice, exciting. How long you been together now? When did you meet him in
We
Indonesia?
met in February 2018, but obviously we didn't go together straight away. We only got together in June or July 2018. But we got married last year. So we just completed actually a few months ago 1 year of marriage. So
Oh,
yeah, a little bit over
congratulations.
a year. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. So sweet. Oh, oh, that's lovely. And I mean, it's quite interesting, the different cultures, because the English culture is so different from the Brazilian culture. And
Yeah.
to adapt, the two of you have adapted, haven't you? And
Yeah, I mean, because his sort of background is a little bit different because his dad is British, but his mom is Malaysian. So
oh,
his grandma is British. So his mom has, British citizenship and she came here for studying to uni and stuff. But so he has this mixed background, which is very good as well because he has a lot of this sort of Asian way of, looking and living life, I guess. So
oh,
it's
that's
very
nice.
nice. Yeah, yeah,
You're very people orientated, so you're a therapist, a
yeah.
holistic therapist. And when did you start being interested in holistic therapy?
So my godmother, she is a holistic therapist. So since I was very young, I've always seen her and I always thought, oh, I would really like to do that. But I never thought I would actually end up doing it. So then finished school, went to university, did business administration. Then I kind of got corporate world and working on this area as well. But I always continued my studies in spirituality and self-help and self-development and all those things because I always was very interested about all of these subjects. And I think that being a holistic therapist, you can only take people up into where you've been yourself. So I cannot help anyone if I haven't helped myself. So I think that doing all those works that I've done and going to university and then doing a master's degree here in the UK, all of these sort of were very important for me to be where I am now, because I've learned so much. And also I had this other side of me that I never showed to the world, let's say, of working with this. But then I got very interested in sort of making a career change in the beginning of lockdown, because I was working in a company that I thought, I liked the work that I did, but I was not passionate about that. And it was a very administrative job. And I thought, I know how to do this, but I'm not passionate about this. And then I started questioning myself, what am I passionate about? And I thought, remembering my childhood and everything, I remembered me saying so many times that I wanted to do this, sort of looking up to my godmother, thinking, oh my God, that's what I want to do, help people. And I thought, oh my God, how didn't I notice, how didn't I see that I wanted to do this? But then, at some point I realized last year, and then I started studying more and more and more and seeing how could I start and everything, my online business, which I did started on, mainly on Instagram in the beginning. So I started in June 2020. Yeah. So that's when I sort of made the move.
Do you feel much happier now you made the move in yourself, more at ease with yourself?
Yeah,
found
because,
the real
absolutely,
you?
because exactly. It's almost as if I wake up and I'm like, I'm very excited for my day. And I felt that sometimes I would have this in the beginning of a job. And then after a little while, I'll be just bored, just like I'm not making any difference to anyone's life. And I thought I'm capable of much more, of actually helping people. And I could see that it's sort of like my personal life with friends and family. I could help people with the things that I knew, with the things that I've done. But before I never thought about actually doing this professionally. But then after a few, let's say, pushes from life, I guess, I started thinking about this and decided to give it a go. Yeah.
Menina linda, me conte mais sobre seus voos. Por qual céu você viajou até pousar na minha boca? Menina linda, meu coração pede socorro. Voar às vezes dá enjoo, mas teu abraço me acalma. Eu que vim do surf, ela que veio da yoga. Os dois pirava em suco natural de laranja com acerola. Formado em aviação, eu mal terminei a escola. Voava pelas nuvens enquanto eu jogava a bola. Ela que chegou toda despretensiosa, carregando seu cabelo, o perfume de uma rosa. Loira do olho verde, rock and roll, a bossa nova, o maior dos meus perigos, perigosa. Menina linda, me conte mais sobre seus voos. Por qual céu você viajou até pousar na minha boca? Menina linda, meu coração pede socorro. Voar às vezes dá enjoo, mas teu abraço me acalma. Oh, menina linda, menina linda, deixa eu viajar com você pra onde o vento quiser nos levar. Deixa eu viajar com você pra onde o vento quiser nos levar. Deixa eu viajar com você pra onde o vento quiser nos levar. Deixa eu viajar, deixa eu viajar, deixa eu viajar. Menina linda, me conte mais sobre seus voos. Por qual céu você viajou até pousar na minha boca? Menina linda, meu coração pede socorro. Voar às vezes dá enjoo, mas teu abraço me acalma. Menina linda, me conte mais sobre seus voos. Por qual céu você viajou até pousar na minha boca? Menina linda, meu coração pede socorro. Voar às vezes dá enjoo, mas teu abraço me acalma. Pra onde o vento quiser nos levar, deixa eu viajar com você. Pra onde o vento quiser nos levar, deixa eu viajar com você. Pra onde o vento quiser nos levar, deixa eu viajar com você. Pra onde o vento quiser nos levar.
something that's obvious to me is that Johnny must have supported you with this, because it's a big change, and it sounds like he's encouraged you. And
oh yeah, 100%. Because when I first started, it was we were in lockdown, so I was still working a full-time job, 9 to 5, sometimes extra hours and everything. And I started my online business in, let's say, the time that I was not working, so in the evenings and weekends, and I used to do like this and have sessions like that online. Lockdown in most of the world, I guess.
So this is a massive positive change that came about because of the lockdown and the COVID.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I think if it was not lockdown, probably, I wouldn't say that it wouldn't happen, but it might have happened in a few years.
Yeah.
But maybe not necessarily right now, because lockdown made me question what I was doing with my life. Sort of like, am I really enjoying this? No, I'm not. So how can I change it? What can I do to make it better, I guess? So yeah.
We'll just explain to the listeners, this is how Tatiana and I met, that we wouldn't have met had it not been for COVID, because my life changed as well. Because I'm a retired probation officer, and I took to the road and started delivering. I was doing work with care homes, which stopped overnight, so I had to do something else. And I started doing parcels, and I also went on local radio and started interviewing people and doing shows like this. And that's how Tatiana and I met. Was I delivered to a house, and I just couldn't stop talking one day. And it's nice because, and I've met some other people like that their whole lives changed in a positive way, and it's really nice. There was a girl who kind of rediscovered her art. She's an artist, and she was doing a job, and during lockdown she went back to her art and started doing portraits, and she was just so happy. The same, and that's so lovely to see you empowered, enriched, and all those things, and being happy. And it's not always about money, is it, life? It's about...
Oh, yeah. And obviously, I know that lockdown was not easy for everyone. It was not for me. It's not, but it was a big positive change, as you said, this career transition. But, and I also feel that everything happens in the right time. So maybe this was exactly the time I was meant to start doing this, because there were loads of people struggling a lot with lockdown and struggling a lot with COVID and all the consequences of it. So maybe that was the perfect time for me to start, so I could help these people. And that's what I noticed with, right from the beginning, the clients that came to me were people that were struggling a lot with their isolation, with the feeling of isolation and anxiety and everything, or consequences of lockdown mainly.
Yeah.
So, somehow I ended up doing exactly what I was meant to be doing on that time. So,
that's lovely. It's very fulfilling. It's really great. So you come from a big family, and you're very much a people person. And I was saying, where did you get your people skills from? And you said, well, it's because I come from a big family.
Yeah, I think so, because Brazilian families in general, they are quite big. So my family, I have two sides of the family. Let's say my mom's side is from the city that I was born, which is called Porto Alegre, is in the south of Brazil. And then my dad, he's from Rio. And then his family obviously is from Rio as well. So I have these two sides of the family. And just one side has about 25, 30 people. And then the other side has also, I think, 10, 15 people. So, it's quite big families. So when we all get together, it's just too many people. So I was telling you before, like, even if you are not a people person, when you are born in a big family, you're going to become one, because you need to deal with it.
That's lovely. So you're going to play some music now that reminds you of those times. So what's it called?
It's called Aquarela do Brasil, which is, it's quite a funny translation. It's called Brazil Watercolors, I would guess. But it's a Brazilian song from, very, very like a sort of classic Brazilian song, because it talks about our culture and everything. And it's from a genre called Bossa Nova. And it's amazing if you want to Google it and try to hear a little bit yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. So we play it right now.
Brasil, meu Brasil brasileiro, mulato insoneiro, vou cantar-te nos meus versos. Brasil, samba que dá bamboleiro, que faz xinga, o Brasil do meu amor, terra de nós. dar coco, oi onde amarro a minha rede, nas noites claras de luar, por essas fontes murmurantes, onde eu mato a minha sede, onde a lua vem brincar. Oh, esse Brasil lindo e trigueiro, é o meu Brasil brasileiro, terra de samba pandeiro. Brasil, terra boa e gostosa, da amor e ancestrosa, de olhar indiferente. Brasil, samba que dá para o mundo se admira. O Brasil do meu amor, terra de nosso Senhor.
So that's lovely. So we're going to talk now about Reiki and how you get into it. What is Reiki and stuff like that, and your crystals and and how you counsel people. Really, it's all new to me, so I find it a bit odd.
No, yeah, of course, yeah.
I find it a bit. I found it a bit. I thought it's a bit because I haven't grown up with it. You know, it's a new thing to me, and I just find it weird, a little bit weird. Anyway.
No, that's fine. I mean, because I think it depends a lot where you come from, because in Brazil, this is quite spread countrywide. So people know quite a lot about it. So this is something, that
Reiki is very common in Brazil.
Yes, and also crystals and also flower essences.
Is it throughout the world as well? Reiki?
Yes, it is. And I mean, there's quite a lot of Reiki practitioners here in the UK as well, and people that work with flower essences, especially because...
And you have different levels of Reiki people, don't you?
Yes.
Somebody said, I know so-and-so is a Reiki master or something, or mistress or master.
Yes, exactly. So because it's usually a course that you do for becoming a Reiki practitioner. So in the first course, because it's a very ancient sort of technique, that it was discovered many years ago and in Asia. And then after many years that it spread to this side of the world, let's say, especially by a woman that was living in America. So then she was the one that sort of trained people to be able to spread the technique around the world. But then there's loads of different levels. So you don't need to become a master in Reiki if you don't want to, because master is usually for the person that wants to teach Reiki and everything. But you could do, let's say, the first level where you can use Reiki just for animals, plants, for yourself. You can also learn on the other level to send Reiki, let's say in distance Reiki. So then you can send, let's say, in an online session to people. And then, so it goes sort of like upgrading depending on the level you're doing. So then another level, you can actually send Reiki to the planet and to, let's say, a whole community. For example, there were an earthquake in Haiti. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Haiti.
Yeah.
Many years ago. So then I was in this group where we started sending Reiki to them in distance, to the people that were suffering. So then you can do this depending on the level you are on Reiki. So then there's some of the things you can do with Reiki. Usually it's used to deal with your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. So then if you're struggling a little bit with something physical, let's say with a pain somewhere, or if you are struggling with your mental health or with your emotions, you're just going through a lot, it's very nice to do some Reiki to sort of, let's say, balance everything, balance your emotions, balance your spiritual body as well. So it's a very good technique to use. And
it makes you calmer. I experienced calmness myself, didn't I? I felt more relaxed.
Yeah. It can have two effects. So if you are too agitated, it's going to calm yourself. But if you're feeling too lethargic, let's say, it can give you a little bit more energy. So it depends on what you need. You use different ways.
And the other thing you do is you're a really good counsellor, because you do a little counselling session before, and you got wonderful empathy skills,
and
you're very intuitive. I mean, you worked me out very cleverly, which was lovely, which is nice because, some people don't really want to talk about themselves or open up or anything, but you kind of realised these things without really opening me up, which I thought was lovely, very, very supportive. And you're very, very positive as well, which is nice.
I like some very calming music and meditation music, so I'll play this one.
something we both got in common is that music's really, really powerful, isn't it? And
Yeah.
Do you use music in your work?
Yeah, so when I'm doing, let's say, a crystal healing session or a Reiki session, I always like to put some music because sometimes if people, it's not essential, but I like it because I think it's nice for people to focus on the music and the calming effect that the music has, instead of sometimes just focusing on their own thoughts and then getting stressed about the things that they need to do after they leave and the things that they have forgotten to do yesterday and all those things. They can just focus on the moment, which is very important when you're doing a little bit of therapeutic work. So it's very important for them to focus on the now and focus on what they are doing instead of tomorrow or yesterday or other things. So yeah, quite like to use some music.
And of course, I work with people with dementia, and music's wonderful, really, in that it sparks wonderful things in the brain and it gets the brain going, and it brings back lovely memories and happiness, and we get people singing, and it's very healthy. And sometimes my poor mum has got dementia, but I go and see her and we can't really talk much anymore, but we can sing, and we can sing all these lovely old songs together, and we have a good fun and laughing, and she really enjoys it. So it's so lovely. It's quite moving, really. So it triggers all sorts of positivity, music, doesn't it? It's a wonderful tool, isn't it? Yeah. So you're building up your number of clients. You're based in Hertford, above a lovely, is it a Whole Food shop or
it's a natural health shop.
Natural health shop is called, isn't it? Because I went in there looking for French herbal teas. My mum's French, and there was a herbal tea that I quite liked. I was looking for it, I couldn't find it, but I'm sure there are other ones. But yeah, the herbal teas are nice, aren't they? So they're really lovely in there. And above the shop are all these lovely little rooms, and you've got a beautiful room which is on the corner of the building, and it directly overlooks St Andrew Street. All the sort of like used to be antique shops and sort of individual shops, aren't they? There's a nice women's clothing shop and old post office and things like that. But it's a lovely spot, and it's very, very restful. Yeah, so you do your crystal healing.
I do crystal healing as well, which is also something that I've been using since my childhood, because crystals in Brazil was something very, very big. If you go to a shop and you try to buy crystals in the UK, you see that most of them actually come from Brazil, which is very funny. So we are a very, crystal people, I would guess, or most Brazilians. So I always had crystals all around my house and using them to help me, and then now I'm using to help other people.
And they occur in nature, don't they, these crystals? I was in Turkey and we actually saw them. We went to Cappadocia and there were some crystals there in Cappadocia. Just you could pick them up. Beautiful crystals, amazing. Just sell for a lot in the shops, but so they occur naturally in nature, don't they?
Yes, exactly. And there are loads of different types that you can use. So depending on, each crystal helps you with something different. So depending on what the person would like to work with at the moment, we can use different crystals to help them. So that's very good. So I like to combine them. A session sometimes is a crystal healing session, sometimes a Reiki session. I always have a little bit of a conversation before to understand what the person is looking for, but also for me to see what I feel she needs, because sometimes people come and they feel that they need, let's say, a Reiki session, and then when they arrive, I'm like, well, actually, I don't feel that you need a Reiki session. You might need something different, but let's do half a Reiki session and have something else. And then that's very nice, because, people usually take into consideration quite a lot the things that I suggest. So I think that's very good. Because the other thing...
You're very generous with your time as well, I noticed. Very kind, because you say you give people an hour, but you give them about 2 hours.
Well, it depends on, what the person is needing at the moment. Sometimes I just go a little bit over, with the flower essences, so I can tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Because the first flower essence was actually created in the UK by a British doctor. So this is the one that most people know in the world, which is called Bach flower remedies. I don't have one right next to me, but basically there was this man named Dr. Edward Bach that he discovered. He was a doctor, he was always dealing with diseases and everything, but then he started sort of like thinking that maybe the disease was the consequence of something else, was not the main cause. So he started to try to understand what was the main cause of the diseases, what was sort of like creating all of this. And he started going and studying lots about homeopathy in London. So he started studying a lot of homeopathy and how could he, heal people before it became a physical disease. And then he actually discovered the flower remedies that were flowers, and this one is only British flowers. So he discovered these flowers, and that actually each of them, they help with a different disease, with a different mental issue that the person is going through, or a different, let's say, can say sometimes personalities that people have as well, that sometimes can be a little bit challenging for other people to deal with, or for them to deal with themselves. So Dr. Bach discovered, and then he created this system in 1920 that is called the flower remedies, the Bach flower remedies, that actually, by giving people these flower essences that come in a little bottle, this one is Australian, but they come in a little bottle like that. By giving people those flower essences, they would work in the people's emotions, because these, for him, that he discovered was the main cause of the diseases, were those emotions that were not being dealt with. So until the person dealt with them, or take the flower essence to support them in their healing journey, this would become, if they didn't do that, it would become a physical disease. So then he treated a lot of people like that, and these systems spread throughout the world, and many other people started creating their own systems of flower essences as well. So in Brazil, there are maybe 10, 15 different ones. There's another one in California, in Alaska, in Australia. There's loads of different systems, but the first one was here in the UK, so they are quite common here. People usually see the rescue remedy quite a lot, which is a yellow one, a yellow bottle, in mainly pharmacies, Holland & Barrett, and these sort of shops. But yeah, so this is a little bit about the flower essence. So it's a little essence that, made of flowers, that will work on your emotions, so it would avoid becoming a physical disease or a mental disease or something worse in the long term. So yeah.
That's really interesting. It's very well explained as well, and I guess there's
thank
an
you.
overlap with herbal remedies that sort of run alongside, don't they? They're a very old tradition. I remember in France meeting people that use herbal remedies, and they actually work. They're old traditional things, aren't they? So it's the same with the flower essences, I guess, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah.
And what I like is that people looked at in the whole person, rather than just the physical issue. And often there's a whole, like you say, interconnection of things going on. And it's lovely. One of my friends, she's and I help her. She does laughing yoga.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we must get you doing some of that.
Oh yeah, looking forward.
We must get you learning it as well. It's really the laughter is really good for you, and this laughing yoga kind of encourages that. And again, it's so beneficial, and again, it's sort of holistic, and I think
exactly.
all these therapies run alongside the health service ones very nicely, and a lot of people, Prince Charles is a great advocate, isn't he, of holistic therapies? Did you know that, Tatiana?
I didn't know.
Oh yeah, check him out. But he very much feels passionately, and he's into all flowers and things like that, but he believes in holistic therapies running alongside the health services as being helpful, and they work together,
Yes, exactly, because this is something very important. holistic therapy is not meant, and neither the flower essences or Reiki or anything is not meant to substitute traditional medicine. It's meant to be a complementary sort of therapy. So if they work together, it's very beneficial for people, but not in the sense of just take the flower essences and stop going to the doctor. No, continue to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And the same thing with, especially when we talk about depression and anxiety, many people think I can just take flower essences and stop taking medicine. No, actually you can't. No, you should have a doctor that you go to that take you the medicine, continue to do so, and then take the flower essences as something that is going to support you in a natural manner, so that your, let's say, your healing happens maybe a little bit faster, or the side effects will not be so strong. But some people think that, and can be quite skeptic about holistic therapies, because they think that we are trying to substitute traditional medicine, and that's not the case. This is just sort of meant to be something that will support people in their healing journey, together with, other sort of medicines that they take already, or other treatments that they are already having. Because the flower essences, they don't have no influence at all in any sort of medicine. So they don't influence. So if people say, well, but I'm taking this medicine, so I can't take a flower essence. Well, that's not true, because the flower essences don't influence, they don't have any effect in any sort of medicine. And also they don't have any side effects. So there is nothing wrong that could happen by taking a flower essence, because they are natural things. So as well as with other sort of therapies like herbs, and as you were saying, and you can just take a chamomile tea and not have any side effects, just a natural healing tool that you can use.
Yeah, it relaxes you, chamomile tea, doesn't it? It helps you go to sleep, rather than coffee would make you...
Exactly, yeah, very agitated,
So, I mean, let's give an example. I'm glad we came, didn't we do well to bring that out? Because that's a very, very important point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very. So, for example, let's give an example. So you might have a woman client that's going through a bad time. Her husband's abusing her, that she's getting ready to leave him, and there's only so much the doctor can do, isn't there, really?
Yeah, because
so say if he can't prescribe counselling or whatever, but what's he going to give her?
Yeah, so if this happened, I already had a few clients that this situation came.
Yeah.
Basically, the first thing we need to do is understand how is she feeling, because when you are in an abusive relationship, the main thing that happens, the person thinks that a lot of self-confidence issues, self-esteem issues. The person thinks it's not, if she leaves the place, something worse is going to happen, or how am I going to live without this person? And there's quite a lot of codependency. So that's what we need to work with, sort of trying to make the person see that they are worthy, and they are worthy to have a healthy relationship, and also empower them quite a lot. So we work quite a bit in this side, both with the flower essences and also with Reiki and with crystals, with all those tools that I have. We work with this to show the woman or the man, because this happens already as well with men in abusive relationships. And being physical abuse can be emotional abuse, happens quite a lot, or mental abuse. So we need to work with the emotions that are behind them, because they are never the focus of the relationship, is always the other person. So it's a moment in the session where the person is 100% our focus, and we are trying to listen to them and see what they need and how can they empower themselves so they feel ready to leave the relationship if that's what they want to do, or to report to the police if that's what they want to do. Because in many cases they don't even report to the police because they feel afraid of what might happen. So it's a lot of working in their empowerment and their confidence and their self-esteem, so they can see that they are worthy of having a good life, that they don't need to continue this suffering, I guess. So that's quite a lot.
What you just said is just so exciting for me, because what you're describing is exactly the sort of thing that I try to do as a probation officer.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So sadly, you see a lot of people get into trouble, particularly women, are victims. So if I was working particularly with women, some men though as well, but mostly women, predominantly women, were going through the issues you were talking about. And for them to get away from crime, they had to go away from this abusive man, or they had to learn. And the self-esteem issue is so big.
Yeah.
And often people who are in trouble have low self-esteem. And to help them go in a positive direction, we have to really work hard on the self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. What
Yeah.
you're talking about is really, I love it. I
Yeah,
love
and this
what
is
you were
really aligned to
saying.
what you were saying before. I think even before we started about that you
Yeah,
used to do your probation in terms of like asking people about their life.
yeah,
Because what we see usually about abusive relationships is that something happened in their childhood that made them feel that they are not worthy, that they don't
yeah,
deserve the best, and then their self-esteem or their self-confidence was shut down. So then throughout their life, they are going to keep attracting these people that continue to reinforce that they are not worthy, so
yeah,
it's nice for us to build this sort of trust environment so they can open up and tell about what happened and when was the first time that they felt. Because when we start asking questions like, how was your family life, how was your childhood, and how was all those things, usually we find an explanation why this is happening right now in their lives. Something triggered them, some trauma happened or something back in their childhood, and it is still impacting them right now because it was never dealt with.
yeah. So it's so exciting what you're saying, and I really love that, what you do. I think that,
Oh,
for me, that is the most important of all the things you do, is that bit, actually, is helping people with their self-esteem issues, empowering them, helping them achieve. I think that's so lovely and exciting, and help them lead fulfilled lives. I think that's wonderful. And you're giving them a comfortable, safe environment to help them do that. I think that's wonderful. Really,
yeah.
really great.
Yeah, and because
So,
sometimes people, they don't want to, and especially on their first session, it's not everyone that will be comfortable by opening up and talking about everything that they are going through. So then in those cases, it's very nice to have those holistic tools such as Reiki or crystal healing. So then we can start working on their as a whole, because holistic is working as a whole human being instead
yeah,
of just as the focus of what they're going through. So then we can start working, let's say, with Reiki. So then we can work on their self-esteem, on their self-confidence, for example, in this case, without them actually needing to talk about it if they don't feel ready, because sometimes they don't feel ready to talk about it because they've never been heard and no one ever thought that what they were going through was important. And sort of some people just say just deal with it, but it's not just dealing with it, especially if you are in an abusive relationship. You can't deal with it by yourself. It's very well, you could, but it's very hard because you're just inside that place. You need someone in a neutral position, let's say, to support you and guide you and listen to you, I guess.
that's fabulous. I think that's lovely. And I think it's exciting as well, because in my head I see all sorts of possibilities
yeah
for this. I think it's really lovely, and I love that holistic aspect and supporting people. I think it's lovely. It's really good.
exactly. To not, of course, it's important to understand what the person is going through in terms of like if the person is having a panic attack or anxiety attack or is having, is going through quite a lot. It's important to know, but we can see the person as the problem that she's going through. We can see the person as the mental issue she has or the physical problem she has, because people are way more than that. So we need to see everything that is going through. And this is more, and that's when I think that traditional medicine and holistic approaches separate a little bit, because sometimes the traditional medicine tries to deal with the problem that the person has right now and not trying to figure it out why this happened, why this thing sort of blown up. And then the holistic approach tries to see, well, what is behind all of that? What you're going through that caused this in the first place. And
so a skill that you have is you it sounds to me you've got an abundance, is empathy.
I think so.
Where you understand what the person's feeling and what they're going through.
Yeah.
That's quite powerful as well. You must encounter sadness as well in your job sometimes.
Yeah,
Is
of
that
course,
difficult?
because people want to normally go to therapy when they're feeling, happy and shiny, and
Yeah,
if they are going through something, they need help. So yeah.
yeah. So do you need to park that sadness sometimes? You can't take it
Yeah,
home with you all the time, can you? That
I
sadness.
know. I try to separate this quite a lot because I have quite a spiritual approach to the things that I do. So I believe that somehow we attract everything that we are living. So why would you attract someone that is making you feel very anxious or making you feel, that you're not worthy? So what happened that you feel that you need to be in a relationship like that? So if you try to see this way, we get out of this sort of victim place of everything happens to me, and we empower ourselves of, know what, somehow I created this, so now I'm gonna get out because I have the power. If I create it, I can take it off as well. But this is more well, not necessarily a spiritual approach, but I think we create our own reality. So if we are in a situation that we don't appreciate, we are not enjoying the way we are living, we have the power to change it, but we need to take action. We can't just sort of expect something to happen and change our whole lives. We need to take action, and we need to make, and usually this needs a lot of healing. That's why the therapy is so important, because sometimes it's not, you just cannot take that step because there's just so much going on. And then it's important that you go through the healing so then you are ready to take that step. But it's still important that you take responsibility for the things that happen. So you take responsibility of getting off of the relationship that is abusive, or getting off the house that is making you feel very anxious, or someone is not being nice to you and all those things, or the job that is not working. So, and this I think is very good, instead of putting people as sad. And obviously I'm not saying that they're not victims out there, they are, but it's still important for people to know that they have the power to change everything. It's everything within them. They can't just accept things as they are and people treat them as they wish and think that they can change this. They can. And they have the right to. No one needs to accept something bad. Everybody deserves the best, and they can be their best if they see life this way, I think.
Well, it's lovely. So I think we should end there. That's lovely. We need some nice music to finish with.
Você viu só que amor, nunca vi coisa assim. E passou, nem parou, mas olha o sol pra mim. Se voltar, vou atrás, vou pedir, vou rogar. Vou dizer que o amor foi feitinho pra dar. Olha, é como o verão, quente o coração. Salta de repente para ver a menina que vem. Ela vem, sempre tem em cima no olhar. E vai ver, tem que ser, nunca tem quem amar. Hoje sim, diz que sim, já cansei de esperar. Nem parei, nem dormi, só pensando em me dar. Peço, mas você não vem, bem. Desde então falo só, digo o seu, mas você vem. Você viu só que amor, nunca vi coisa assim. E passou, nem parou, mas olha o sol pra mim. Se voltar, vou atrás, vou pedir, vou rogar. Vou dizer que o amor foi feitinho pra dar. Olha, é como o verão, quente o coração. Salta de repente para ver a menina que vem. Ela vem, sempre tem em cima no olhar. E vai ver, tem que ser, já vi coisa assim, passou nem parou. Mas olhe só pra mim, se voltar, vou atrás, vou pedir, vou rogar. Vou dizer que o amor foi feitinho pra dar. Olha, é como o verão, quente o coração. Salta de repente para ver a menina que vem. Ela vem, sempre tem esse mar no olhar. Vai ver, tem que ser, nunca tem quem amar. Hoje sim, diz que sim, já cansei de esperar. Nem parei, nem dormi, só pensando em me dar. Peço, mas você não vem. Bem, deixa então, falo só, digo o seu, mas você vem. Deixa então, falo só, diga o seu, mas você vem. Deixa então, falo só, digo o seu, mas você vem. Grazie. Grazie.